Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to Chapter 18. Let's talk about a condition called non-disjunction disorders. Before we dive into this, let's break down the word. First of all, what is a junction? A junction is where two things come together. What we're talking about is chromosomes. A junction is where two things come together. So what is a disjunction? A disjunction is where two things that are together come apart. So what is a non-disjunction? A non-disjunction is where two things that are supposed to come apart don't and stay stuck together. Non-disjunction disorders. Those two things that are supposed to come apart are chromosomes during the process of meiosis. Remember that meiosis is all about separating the DNA. Meiosis is all about making the sex cells. In making the sex cells, you have to make cells that have half the normal amount of DNA. Non-disjunction disorders are where when those chromosomes were supposed to get separated and only one chromosome was supposed to go into a sex cell, accidentally two got put in, two of the same kind. This is a non-disjunction disorder. And the short answer for what happens when this happens, and that is that the individual dies. They are lethal. 99.9% of the time, non-disjunction disorders are lethal. And let me explain what that means. What it means is she never even knew she was pregnant. A woman ovulates about halfway through her cycle. So if the cycle is a 1 month cycle, right? She starts her period day 1. About 2 weeks after she starts her period is when she ovulates. That's when she releases the egg. All right? That egg has 1 day, 24 hours to get fertilized. If it's halfway through her cycle, when is she expecting her next period? And the answer is she's expecting her next period 2 weeks later. So if she did get pregnant that day she ovulated, the day she's expecting her period, that's 2 weeks that she's been pregnant. What I mean by a non-disjunction disorder is lethal. It means that she has a normal period. That's how quickly it dies. You can't have the wrong amount of DNA. If you have too much DNA or not enough, the individual is just dead. Just dead. There is one where the individual is not just dead. Here we see the problem. This is normal meiosis, where my chromosomes get spread between my resulting sex cells. This is non-disjunction. This chromosome was supposed to split in half and didn't. So now we end up with one sex cell that has not enough DNA in it, and we end up with a second sex cell that has too much DNA in it. And we said not enough or too much DNA is just death. The one that you can survive is called trisomy 21. The one that you can survive causes Down syndrome. And if you look at this karyotype, so these are the chromosomes of the individual, of this woman. These are her chromosomes. These chromosomes are arranged by size. So chromosome pair number 1 is number 1 because it's the biggest. Chromosome pair number 22 is chromosome pair number 22 because it's the smallest. They're arranged in order by size. Remember, the 23rd pair is that special pair. The 23rd pair is that sex set. And here's her 23rd pair right here. It's XX, which makes her a woman. Trisomy 21. Tri means 3. Som means body. And in this case, we're talking about chromosomes. She has 3 copies of chromosome number 21. 1, 2, 3. She does not have 46 chromosomes. She has 47 chromosomes. She has how much DNA? Too much. She has 1 extra chromosome. And this 1 extra chromosome, the second from smallest chromosome, which means it has almost the least number of genes on it. A obviously bigger chromosome has more genes and smaller chromosomes have fewer genes. Big books have more pages, little books have less pages. It obviously has very few genes on it. And having too much DNA, too much of this little bitty chromosome leads to the health problems that we recognize of someone that has trisomy 21. When we think of someone with Down syndrome, we often think of someone who has mental retardation. If that was the only problem that came with trisomy 21, it would be fine. They would live perfectly healthy, normal lives. But that is not the only problem. There is a huge host of problems that come along with having 3 copies of chromosome 21. It's not uncommon. It's actually very common for people with Down syndrome to die before the age of 40. They have heart trouble, they have eye trouble, they have weight issues. They've got a whole bunch of problems that come along with having one extra itty-bitty little chromosome, trisomy 21. I said there's one that you can have and survive, but that's actually a lie. There's more than one. There's one somatic chromosome non-disjunction disorder you can have and survive, trisomy 21. There's not a trisomy 3. There's not a trisomy 15, because it's just death. How soon is it death? It is death in that she never even knew she was pregnant. The embryo dies that quickly. It's not even actually an embryo at that stage. It's still just a zygote. It's just a clump of cells. It dies that quick. There are a few others that you can survive, but they all revolve around this pair. What is special about this pair? What's special about this pair is that this is the sex set. And remember, we talked about the sex set, and we said that if you have 2 of the same chromosomes, you're a woman. But if you have 2 different chromosomes, X and Y, then you're a man. Another piece of information you need before we go on, and that is that the X chromosome has 2,500 genes on it. The Y chromosome has 25. The X chromosome has how many? 2,500. The Y has how many? 25. And what that means, then, is that there's apparently a really special relationship with this pair and only this pair of chromosomes, where I can have a lot of DNA and it's okay, I'm a healthy person, or I can have a lot less DNA and it's okay, I'm a healthy person. The non-disjunction disorders that you can survive revolve around the sex set. And the first one is called metafemale. This is a karyotype of a metafemale. She has 47 chromosomes. All of them are normal until we get to her sex set. She doesn't have 2 X's, she has 3 X's. A metafemale is normal. What does she look like? She looks like a woman. She looks normal. The only problem that she has is she's going to have limited fertility. She's not going to have an easy time having babies. And if she has babies, it's not uncommon for them to have lots of problems because of that extra X. It's a problem. All right? Metafemale. The next one is called supermale, and I'm cheating a little bit. It doesn't actually have a term, a name in humans. It does in fruit flies, and like I said, in fruit flies it's called supermale. So I'm stealing the fruit fly term. And again, same deal with this. It's got 47 chromosomes, but this time there's the 1 X that he would have, and a normal male would have a single Y, but this male has 2 Ys. 2 Ys, X, Y, Y. What does he look like? To be fair, he looks normal. Super males tend to be a little bit bigger. They tend to be a little bit stronger. They tend to be a little bit more aggressive. But just because he's a big, strong, mean guy does not mean he's a super male. Only about 0.1% of super males are, only about 0.1% of men are super males. Our next is Turner syndrome. This is the karyotype of a woman with Turner syndrome. She has all of those normal somatic chromosomes until we get to the sex set. And notice that she is the opposite of metafemale. Metafemale had 1, 2, 3 sex chromosomes. She has 1 and nothing. That's why it's called XO, X and nothing. She has all the rest of the chromosomes. She doesn't just have an X and that's it. But when it comes to the sex chromosomes, she has X and nothing. This is a woman who has Turner syndrome. You notice that she's got a thick neck. That's pretty much one of the characteristic features of Turner syndrome. Women that have Turner syndrome tend to be short. They tend to have what they call a webbed neck. She is of normal intelligence. The only problems that she has is she is infertile because she will not go through puberty. She does not go through puberty because apparently you have to have 2 X's to do so. A woman, anyway, needs to have 2 X's to be able to go through puberty. So she never has to shave her legs or armpits, though not that women ever have to do that. They can choose to if they wish. But like we said, she's fertile. If you have 2 X chromosomes, you're female. Apparently if you have 3, you're female. Apparently if you have 1, you're female. If you have a Y, you're male. So 2 X's makes you female. Possessing a Y makes you male. What if you have both? What if you have 2 X's and a Y? This is called Klinefelter syndrome. They are XXY. They're of normal intelligence. They're mostly male physically. They tend to have small reproductive organs, small penis, small testicles. They tend to have female pattern body hair. They usually develop small breasts. Their body is trying to be both male and female. It's trying to be female because it has 2 X's. It's trying to be male because it has a Y. The body can't be both. It has to be one or the other. I don't care what movies you've seen on the internet. Your body can't be both. It has to be one or the other. And so you end up with, here's the karyotype again, normal everything until we get to the last set, 2 X's and a Y. Notice the really long legs and wide hips, very feminine feature. Small breasts, very poor beard growth, male hair pattern, head hair pattern, male pubic hair pattern, tend to have small testicles. Klinefelter syndrome, the body's trying to be both.